Hi there. We are going to go through a couple of upper body activation sequences, really focused in on the shoulders. Now, shoulders with hypermobility are so finicky. They're a very complicated joint and they just impact a lot. So if you are very hypermobile in the shoulders and struggling with stability, if you have a shoulder brace available to you, this might be a good class for you to just pop on that little bit of extra support. We are going to start with a movement that I have dubbed zombie arm, and I think you guys will see why in just a second here. But this, let's do flat on your back. Find yourself in a rest position. Get some space on a mat, on the floor. If you need any supports here, please use them. Before we get into any of the movement, let's just take a couple of grounding breaths. I encourage you guys to keep your feet planted and not go long leg in this one. If it feels helpful to elevate your feet, you're welcome to do that as well. All right, so zombie arm. Like I said, you're gonna see why in just a moment. I want you guys to bend your elbow and let your hand go lax. Hypermobile bodies like to create stability out of the fingertips. We love to go like this when our shoulders and upper body don't feel very stable. So I'm gonna encourage you guys to really just try and like dead weight the hand a bit here, dead weight the wrist and fingers. When you start this movement, I want you to think about the activation coming from the shoulder capsule, the front of the shoulder, maybe a teeny bit of your chest muscle, the pec muscle. On the exhale, you are going to start lifting your arm up off the mat using all of those lovely muscles we just talked about. Now, you are going to see I maybe moved an inch or two because right now this movement feels extremely disconnected. So I'm going to softly bring my arm back down again. And I'm going to just try again. On your exhale, start to just glide up, glide up. Ooh, this is tricky today, and that's okay. If you're getting higher than I am, that is cool, but go slow, okay? If I wanted to just power through all of my like big macro muscles, I could absolutely go like this, okay? Most of us here probably have the capacity to go like that. However, what we're trying to do with this very micro sequence is get these little teeny supporting muscles going. We're trying to get the muscles of the actual shoulder, ooh, that feels good, to kick on and do the work for us. As you let the arm lengthen up, think about letting the back of your shoulder soften back. I'm gonna get a little more length here, it feels like. So you see how much I've built since that first repetition? The only real downside of this movement is that in order for it to be effective, you do have to do it quite slowly. So maybe turn on a podcast if you're ever doing this by yourself. You're gonna be here for a minute. And that feels about where my internal muscles start to kind of be like, eep. They start to clench up, so I'm gonna softly bring this back down. Now, some of you guys might be working at a slightly different pace. Some of you guys might feel more connected and already lengthening out. Some of you might still be just a few inches off the floor. That's fine. This does not need to be a huge movement in order to be an effective movement. If you get to full length, that's awesome. Once again, just letting these shoulder muscles kind of take over. You may start to feel some muscles at the back of your shoulder kick on. That's fine. As long as this isn't painful. Ooh, you can see my shoulders kind of jumping around, trying to like find its space. We got long and lengthy. That feels good. I've got some blood flow in my fingers. And then we're gonna bring it right back down again. So I'm gonna go for a few more. Like I said, I know this is not an entertaining movement, but it's a really, really nice one to help unwind shoulders that are maybe clenching and why we experience upper body tightness. And this is also a great sequence to do before you go into some bigger upper body strength exercises. So I'm gonna make sure I link like a good follow-up series. You guys might start to notice my arm is just kind of going into a little bit of a rotation. And I'm gonna naturally let that happen. I'm gonna just flow with it because my arm is telling me, hey, I wanna be over here. Ooh, and I just felt that settle in really nicely. Let me go for one more here. I'm gonna reset. Ooh, that's the smoothest one so far. That feels really good. Felt like a big breath come through. Take it slow, take it easy. Maybe finish off your last one or two. What I'm gonna do is just let my arm connect down. Try to release any tension I have. I'm gonna let my arm lower down, and once you guys are finished, I want you to take a second and think about both of your shoulders right now. How does that zombie armed side feel? Because I gotta tell you, look at how much lower this one is to the ground now. You guys may have to do like a little rewind of this video to see how much like more up my shoulder was when we first started. So, woo, that feels good. Okay, we are gonna do the other side together, holding each other accountable. So, once again, finding softness. Actually, before you do that, I also want you to just pop your hands on the bony part of your hips and see if your hip bones feel like they are at different levels. Mine often do. My left hip definitely feels a little bit lower to the mat than my right now. First of all, this is always why we do both sides. And second of all, it just goes to portray how connected the upper body is to the pelvis and lower body. Holding tension in one space is invariably going to impact the other. So let's go into the other side. Take an exhale, soften the hand, and just start that lift. And even if it's just a thought of a lift today, I have taught this to people and literally they start out and it's just like, I don't even know how to start this movement. And I always say, just let it be a thought today. And over time, it will come. Ooh, this side definitely feels a little stickier. We're gonna take some deep breath. Just try to drop into the shoulder as we let the arm elongate. Getting a little bit of height on this one. Yeah, that feels really good. Hopefully it feels good to you as well. And if it doesn't, maybe make it a little smaller, or maybe try to come back to this exercise on a different day. It might just not be the one today, and that's fine. I can already feel my right side pelvis now getting a little more connected to this movement. Woo! Lovely, getting a little more length. This is the type of exercise where we do not need to keep the same pace, okay? I do encourage you to slow it down because I know it's boring, but the slower you do it, the more connected you can get into it, get into those little muscles and not just let the kind of bigger macro muscles take over. Getting all sorts of little like twitches at my shoulder joint, which is cool. Little reworkings. Good, good, good. Bring it on down. I'm gonna go for one more because this is just feeling really nice, and I totally could do this for another 10 minutes, but I won't because it's a little bit too much time. See how this movement feels different. If it feels different, let your arm just kind of naturally take shape. It might want to land a little bit more out to the side. That's what this is feeling like to me. And that's where I'm going to let it go. Oh, hopefully along the way you've gotten some nice big breaths. And let's go ahead and just let both shoulders rest down on the back of the mat. Beautiful. Take your hands on your hip bones and see if they feel a little more connected to the mat here. Mine definitely do. Alrighty, slowly start to bring yourself up to seated. This is a great sequence to follow up with some kind of shoulder activation work, which I will make sure I link in a video below in another module. If you're feeling maybe like you're up and you're like, oh yeah, it's definitely lower, but maybe not quite as connected, join me for just a couple of exercises that we can do right now just to help get you more connected. Arms are going to start down by your side. And all I want you to do is think about activating the tops of the shoulders as you start to float your arms up. You'll notice I did not just like, okay, just take it slow. Find that connection to the shoulder, like your arm bone is being pulled into the shoulder socket. And then softly bring it down. And let's go a little forward, seeing if this feels good. That feels nice. And then softly bring it down. And up. Trying to keep the collarbones nice and soft and dropped open. Softly bring it down. And again. I feel like I have so much more connectivity to my back and my shoulders. This is very cool. Take it easy here, guys. This is not about creating a huge movement or even a huge activation. We're just trying to get more connected. And relax down. We can do one more together. I'm actually going to use my little pad here. If you have like a pillow or anything like slightly squishy, this is going to be a great moment to just kind of pop it in between your rib cage and your elbow. And on your exhale, I want you to just squeeze against whatever material it is you have. And then release. Now, one thing I want you to be conscious of is that when you do this squeeze in, you're getting connected underneath this space here. We're not wrenching back or pushing ourselves over. Just a soft activation here, guys. that feels good. Let's go 2 more. And 1 more. Hold the activation. And relax. Let's do 5 on the other side. See how that shoulder feels really quick. Feels good. All right, let's do it. So once again, just tucking in whatever you got. You don't necessarily have to have something. I tend to really like giving myself feedback. I like to give myself things to push and pull against. When you're ready, exhale. Ooh, this is a little harder. And relax. It's not harder in it feels heavy. It's harder in that it's harder to connect into this space. Three. Two. That's it. We're getting there. Hold your last one. Go, go, go. Woo. Alrighty. Woo. Shake it out, guys. Hopefully you are feeling connected, a little softer in the shoulders. That zombie arm sequence is a great one to come back to time and time again. It doesn't get old. It's always a foundational exercise because tension in the upper body there are a lot of factors that can contribute to it. It can be muscle weakness or joint instability, but it can also be stress. It can also be, emotional upheaval. Many, many different things can cause upper body tension that aren't necessarily just functional issues. And so that's one that I like to come back to time and time again, maybe coupled with a breathwork sequence, because as hopefully you can feel now, it really just helps kind of open things up and rebalance them a little bit. So I hope you enjoyed that sequence. I will see you in the next video.